Atomic Blonde is a spy action thriller film that is about a spy named Lorraine Broughton, played by Charlize Theron, who has to go into Berlin and extract this list of double agents who are being smuggled into the West, and she has to work with her contact, David Percival, played by James McAvoy. I know this review is really early. I saw this at a press screening in Boston. There are some reviews of this movie online. From what I heard was that it was James Bond meets John Wick, and to an extent, yeah, but there's more to this movie than that. I was expecting a fun action movie, which at times it was, but I think this is more on the lines of fun thriller. That's how I think this movie should be categorized. I don't think it should be categorized as an action movie. It should definitely be categorized as a thriller. And it did thrill me, I gotta say that. It's not as good as I was hoping it would be, but it's nowhere near, like, middle of the line. Like, I'm not gonna give this a C+ when all is said and done. I expected a little bit better, but what I got, I was satisfied with, and I enjoyed watching this movie. As I said in the open, this movie stars Charlize Theron, and I think Charlize Theron just kicks ass in this movie. She is physically fit. She gives a really good performance, especially for having a British accent for most of the movie, where she's American. She really nailed that, I thought, and you can just see how committed she is to her roles. And I really started to become a fan of Charlize Theron once I saw Mad Max Fury Road. Before that, I was kind of on and off with her, and now I'm like, anything with her, I'm in. I mean, McAvoy is also really good. I mean, I don't really have to talk about that. We all know he's great. One performance in this movie that really surprised me was Sofia Boutella. I've been behind her since day one, since I first saw her in Kingsman, and she's continued to impress me in everything she's been in, even though the things she's been in, she's had very minimal dialogue, except for Star Trek Beyond, which I think she had the most dialogue in. She has a few speaking lines in this movie, but I think this was probably her best performance. It was definitely a more mature role for her, and I think she really pulled it off. I'm going to praise the action scenes in this movie because they are violent, they are brutal, they are bloody. And something that really added to them. There's little to no music playing when these scenes unfold. I don't know if that's the director trying to add a sense of realism to these scenes because they looked pretty real. They were brutal. It was like white knuckle boxing almost a lot of times. Scenes were really well choreographed, and I think that really comes from David Leitch, I think that's how you say his name, the director of this movie, being a stunt coordinator on the Matrix films. Everything looked really well choreographed. Everything in these scenes looked really clean and smooth, and that was a big plus. The camera work in these scenes, really good. No shaky cam. I could understand what was unfolding before my eyes. And there's one action scene towards the middle/end of this movie. I think it's like close to a 10-minute scene, and it looks like it's all in one take. It's definitely over 5 minutes. I think it's probably about 8 minutes. Looks like it's all in one take. Just this one continuous action scene. Just this brutal fight. One continuous take. Something directors are doing a lot of nowadays, but it looked really cool. There were a couple shots where I was just like, I think you focused on something you didn't have to, but I thought it was a cool take and something that this film needed. Because I didn't think the action scenes were all that innovative, but I think that added a little bit more to the realism and the brutality of these scenes. I do like the way that this story in this movie was told. It wasn't just bang, 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 this. It was kind of told in a flashback manner, and I think that added a little bit to the movie, because I think if we saw everything just kind of unfold as it happened, I don't think it would have been as enjoyable. I did feel, though, that the story was a bit unoriginal. It's about this list of double agents that has to be retrieved. Seen it done so many times before. Though the story was a bit unoriginal, I did find it fine for the tone of the movie. It's just towards the end of the movie. Right at the very end, a couple scenes before that, I feel like the story just tries to do too much. There's just a bunch of these different plot twists that are thrown at you. I didn't really buy a single one of them. I was just like, this is going a little overboard. This is a little too much. This is trying to be smarter than the audience, but the audience is smarter than them. I've heard so many people in my screening just be like, oh yeah, told you, to the person next to them. Kind of a problem when you can predict the outcome of certain character arcs and story elements. That means the movie's a bit predictable. Characters in this movie, I feel like, had very minimal development. It was almost like they were non-existent. I could not tell you a damn thing about any of these characters except for the fact that they're spies. That's all I know. I also felt the editing was kind of off. I don't know if that's because this movie's a month away from release and they're still working on the editing, but it just looked kind of weird to me. Like, there's this one scene in the middle of the movie between Charlize Theron and Sofia Boutella. They're both talking. Charlize Theron talks first. You hear her dialogue. You don't see her lips move. Then Sofia Boutella talks. You hear her dialogue. Her lips don't move. Then you get a shot of their face with the other one on the side, and when it has the character on the side talking, you get the sense that they're really not moving their lips. It's like ADR or dubbed. That kind of bothered me. It was sprinkled throughout that whole scene, and it just kind of took me out of the movie for a minute. It was a technical issue with this movie that I couldn't overlook. It had to be addressed because the ADR was pretty awful, or the dubbing, I think that's the same thing. It just looked pretty bad, and I just wanted to point that out. When I notice it, I notice it, and I noticed it. I think Atomic Blonde was as good as I wanted it to be. The characters were really lacking, there were a couple of technical issues, and the story just tried to do too much at the end. However, I enjoyed watching this movie. I think this is going to be one that audiences are really going to like, but critics are going to have mixed feedback on. I did appreciate a lot of aspects of this film. I think the performances were really good. I think the direction was really good, especially in the action scenes with the choreography, the stunts, the camera work. There were a couple of stylistic choices in those scenes that I thought worked really well. Those scenes were brutal, they were bloody, they were violent, and I enjoyed watching this movie, guys. I am going to give Atomic Blonde a B. I have to reiterate, not as good as I was hoping, but I still really had a fun time with this movie and really enjoyed it. You can like me on Facebook, you can follow me on Twitter, you're on YouTube, subscribe at the end of this video, and check out some other reviews I have done. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time.